but my man is here. Man himself, Carl Jha. How you doing, Carl? You doing okay this morning? Well, it's not this morning
I
for you. It's evening for us.
I
You doing all
I
right?
I'm doing all right. My babysitter just left at the last minute, so I'm gonna do double duty right now.
I'm sorry to hear
Ignore
that.
this.
How old
Ignore
is your kid,
this.
by the way?
Yeah, that's my kid. That's my 1 year old.
Oh, yeah. So you're a new dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah. Yeah. I have another 4 year old, so he's watching
Oh,
TV right now. Yeah.
okay. So you've done this before.
Yeah.
This is
I
not
I
new for
done.
you. It's like every
I not my
sniffle
first
is a
time. Not my first time rodeo. Yeah.
fair enough. You know, it's funny. I thought my ex-wife when we got dogs, so we had two dogs, that I thought that was
Okay.
her way of trying to kind of like, hey, a kid is not as it can't be much worse. That's like
Oh, you
her way.
can. Oh, you can. You can. I have three dogs. Trust me.
Do
That's what I
you?
thought too. That's what I thought. Oh yeah, kids just like dogs. No, much more investment.
Is
Much
it?
dogs much easier. Dogs much easier.
But see, if you don't know, right? If you don't have any
Yeah, you don't know.
experience, then they can kind of
Yeah,
make that argument to you. You just don't know. You're just completely unaware. And it's like, damn it, they
exactly.
got me. They got me. Oh, that's funny. Just as the audience will know, Carl Jha, he's host of Silk and Steel podcast, focused on China and surrounding regions and their history, culture, and politics. You can follow Carl on Twitter at Carl Jha. Follow his podcast on Twitter at Steel Silk In, and subscribe and support the podcast on patreon.com, Silk and Steel. Carl, there is, I don't know if you've ever read, what is it, Cixin Liu's Three Body. That book,
I know about that book. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
it's famous.
that series of books is breathtaking. That it is like a work of art, from my point of view, and from people who are suckers for science and that type of emancipatory science. China put something up. I think this was yesterday. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but China actually has a space station. That space station has been up there for years at this point, and they've been able to expand upon that space station. This is them sending up cargo to that space station. Look at that. That is breathtaking.
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Like it's not just, scientifically proficient. It's breathtaking to even look at. Um, and I think Americans don't fully get how beneficial that is, not just in a technical science sense, but in an aspirational sense. I would like to point Americans to NASA. And when NASA was doing the space race and the moon landing and everything else, and the way people were looking up into space in this kind of emancipatory, science, like, oh my God, this is what I want to do when I grow up. This is what I want to be. This is what I want to work on. We have effectively gutted NASA. So our capability of doing stuff like that has been greatly diminished. It's so
Well,
unfortunate.
we're relying on Elon Musk now. It's all Elon Musk now, and Elon Musk said, you know what? We don't need to go to the moon. We did that before. Let's just go straight to Mars. Who knows when that's going to happen. And
Good
another
luck.
thing is the International Space Station, which is due to retire in a couple of years. Which
Yep.
means in a few years, the Chinese space station is going to be the only space station in the game, and this is also due to United States banning space cooperation with China. So they specifically prohibited China from joining this International Space Station, and
Did they?
that is why China went ahead and built their own space station. And so, ironically, this International Space Station is due to retire in a couple of years, and Chinese space station will be the only game in town. And guess what? China invites all other countries' astronaut to work with them, but
Yeah.
we have a law, a wolf. I think it's called Wolf's legislation or whatever. That Wolf's Act that specifically prohibits American astronaut from working with Chinese. So that means anybody can go to the Chinese space station except
Except for America.
Americans. except for NASA. Yeah.
That's so pathetic. God, that's so pathetic. I hate that. Because, I'm a sucker for Star Trek. And I kind of want us to go out into the cosmos together, not in these facts. Like, who owns the moon? That nonsense, right? Like, China goes and says, okay, this is my part of the moon. The US says, this is our part of the moon. And you're fighting a war on the moon. It's like, okay, I don't want that. That's not what I want, right? That seems to be the most ridiculous thing ever. And yet, seems to be where that stuff is going. That's so unfortunate.
Well, NASA is not going there. NASA is not going. NASA had the Artemis program to revisit the moon. Another manned mission to the moon, and they were trying to beat the Chinese. And I think it was supposed to take place this year. Well, that didn't happen, and I don't think it's ever going to happen at this point. And China is scheduled to launch their manned mission to the moon in 2030. So just imagine the Copian. Then in a few years, you'll be you'll be to the moon. The Copian to the moon.
It's funny. On a positive, I look at it as human achievement. Either way, like it's like just a human issue, like of being able to go to the moon or being able to go to Mars. By the same token, it sucks that America just dropped it. I mean, and I think what it is, back during the time we were going against the Soviets, we had competition with the Soviets. And so the thought was, we got to beat the Soviets to the moon. That's what we have to do. We have to beat the Soviets to the moon, meaning it became a military issue. And then when that stopped, it's like, okay, well, we're done. It's like, what do you mean we're done? Yeah, we're done. It was just a military thing. Oh, it sucks so bad, man. It sucks so bad. Oh God.
Sucks. I mean, like the whole Artemis program, which is a second NASA mission to the moon, was actually scheduled to beat the Chinese. But and then Trump is not having that, and Elon Musk is not interested because he said, oh, moon, we did that before. Let's just try something different. Let's go to Mars. But it's a whole different ball game going to the Mars, because that it'll take literally years to travel there and back. So who knows when that's gonna happen?
If you had a more efficient engine.
China, they have a concrete plan for a moon base after their moon landing mission in 2030. So, and again, unless.
I'm sorry, Carl. I'm sorry. That's my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to do that.
No, go ahead. I mean, unless U.S. change its laws that says American astronaut can't work with Chinese, that means, this is it. This is the end of the U.S. moon mission for a while.
Building a base on the moon is rational. Immediately going to Mars without having a base just seems. I don't know the word for it. I mean, you need to figure out how to build habitats. You need to figure out how to supply oxygen from the soil of wherever you're going. Meaning, if you could send robots to the moon to do that, then it gives you a practice for sending that stuff to Mars, to build that stuff on Mars before you get to Mars. Like, the moon is a stepping stone to it. Elon Musk's like, yeah, let's just go to Mars. Let's just screw it. Let's just go to Mars. Okay, good luck. You do that. You do that. And then what makes it so bad, we scrapped the Saturn V rocket. And it's like, so you had a rocket that could get you to the moon and you got rid of it without a replacement for it. Yes, that's what we did. And why did you do that? Yeah. I don't get it. Carl, question. I asked one of my guests that was here yesterday, Jeff Rich. Jeff Rich has a channel. Jeff, don't kick me. I forgot the name of that. The Burning Archive. It's a really good channel. Jeff is Australian. And I asked him, I said, hey, is Australia really going to get fed to the Chinese? Like, is that really what they're going to do? Now, from my understanding, the prime minister is in China as we speak.
Yeah.
And they seem to be having a jolly old good time. So I don't get the sense that they're going to be so willing to just feed Australians to a Chinese wood chipper. But after talking to KJ No, I don't know anymore. Because KJ was like, look, Australia has been completely obsequious to the U.S. military.
I mean, that has been the pattern. The recent Australian PM visit to China, there seemed to send a different signal. I mean, what he said was actually China is a partner for Australia in security, and he wasn't just talking about economic security; he was talking about national security, which traditionally Australia relies on United States, and this is pretty huge because I mean, logically, Australia's largest export market is China. There's no reason why Australia should be going war against its best customer. But KJNO was right. I mean, for the past decades, Australia have acted as, U.S. junior partner, like a deputy, if you will, in the Asia Pacific, and this is because Australia still Australia has this kind of thing because they're on the periphery of Asia, but not of Asia. Because it started out as a white colony on the periphery of Asia, and there's in their mind there's still fear like the yellow horde coming down from north gonna take them over, and U.S. is their Anglo big brother who watch their back. That's a real reason for the Australia-U.S. alliance against China. But if you look at in terms of economics, it totally does not make sense because Australia and Chinese economy are complementary. Australia is an exporter of commodities. China is a consumer of commodities, and China is Australia's biggest export market. So it kind of doesn't make sense for Australia to buy nuclear sub from United States to sink shippings that go into China. What are they going to do? They're going to sink all the iron ore ships that's traveling from Australia to China? I mean, that's ridiculous.
Why do you think the U.S. is asking them now? It's such it seems so random to be like, hey, we're not at war yet, but I need you to declare your side. And it's like, what? What do you mean you need us to declare? Right? It's almost like if you're in a club. I don't know if you've ever been in a club, especially a black club. And somebody, you can feel something about to pop off, and they say, "Hey, man, you got my back?" It's like, dude, I don't even know you. I don't even know you. Why are you asking me that? That's what it puts you in the mind of, right? It's like the U.S. is like, "Hey, we need you to declare your intentions right now." It's like, but you guys are not even at war. I don't care. We need you to declare your intentions right now.
Well,
that is so bizarre.
One reason is because U.S. right now is trying to do the empire on the cheap. U.S. realized that it cannot contain China alone. China being the world's #1 manufacturing superpower. So it's trying to corral all its allies and its vassals to do the dirty job for it. U.S. now it's resorting to proxy wars. This is a trend that started with Obama, right? Obama is the first one who coined, let's lead from behind. Right. Yeah. Let the others do our dirty work. Let's wage proxy war. Let's wage proxy war in Libya, in Syria, in Ukraine, and what they want to do now is they want to do in Taiwan, and then have U.S. ally like Australia, like Japan, like South Korea to take the take the brunt of the Chinese missile barrage. Those countries' role is to be sponge for Chinese missiles, so there will be less Chinese missiles for the U.S. aircraft carrier group. I mean, that's their goal. So it's still up to be seen whether those countries are signing up for that. But at the same time, right now, Trump is slapping this country with tariffs left and right. Right? I mean, he's slapping. Trump is recently slapping tariffs on steel, on foreign auto parts. Oh, foreign auto parts doesn't concern Australia, but Trump is slapping tariffs on copper imports, on steel, and like all these commodities things that Australia actually exports. And this is not. On one hand, U.S. is like, okay, come on, go bleed and die for us. But at the same time, I'm sorry I have to do this to you. I'm gonna have to slap you with 25% tariff on top of that. Because you gotta pay yourself for the privilege of being my frontline soldier. This is why a lot of the countries in the region who are traditional U.S. ally are now having second thoughts. Starting with Japan of all places. Japan was even more client vassal than Australia, and Japan is now saying, hey, if you keep playing this game, don't forget we hold $1 trillion worth of U.S. bonds. We can dump that anytime. I mean, that's a big threat. That's like going nuclear on the U.S. Financial market. And so we're gonna have to see how. And in the meantime, there is a big free trade zone, trade agreement that even includes Australia, Japan, South Korea. It's called RCEP. RCEP, RCEP, I think, and China. This is to replace the Trans-Pacific Partnership that Trump have scrapped it in his first term. That was designed to keep China out, but except now the trade zone has China center, has China in center, but keeping the U.S. out. So the more, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Don't apologize. Don't apologize at all.
I'm sorry. So the more the U.S. try to contain China, the more its policy backfire, and then it comes Trump. I like to say Trump is my president. He's my president for accelerationism. He's my president for dismantling the U.S. empire left and right. So this is why Trump is also loved in China, on the Chinese internet at least. He's known as Trump, the nation builder, the nation being China, of course. Trump is making China great again.
Listen, I need you to bleed for us. Oh, and by the way, here's some tariffs. Why are you bleeding? Oh, yeah. I mean, we'll see if they do it. I mean, do you think that these countries are finally going to look? I agree with you. I think the same thing, almost for the opposite reason. No, it's for the same reason, even though I think it's the same thing. I'm like, Trump is my president. Have at it. Tariff the entire world. Go after China, go after Russia, go after India. Do it all at once. Do it all at once. Hit Japan, hit Malaysia, hit Indonesia, hit them all at once.
He's threatening 500% tariff against anyone who is going to buy Russian oil. And guess who buys Russian oil the most? It's China. I mean,
well, to be fair, he dropped it to 100. He dropped it to 100.
Oh, okay, 100, whatever. I mean, is he right now? Is he gonna go back to the early going to May when like the Chinese ships just simply stop coming to American ports and everybody's panicking? So Scott Bessent have to chase Chinese vice premier all the way to Geneva for a deal. I mean, nobody's gonna take Trump seriously. I don't think anybody takes that threat seriously. Like we just had that. We just had that tariff war already. It didn't turn out well. Trump turned into Taco Tuesday. Why are you now threatening to do secondary sanction on Russia, which means 100% tariff again on China? Are you going to bring that thing back? I don't think so. Trump is not serious.
That is a fantastic point. And even the U.S. press is effectively saying, they said Putin doesn't believe Trump. They just said it flat out. Trump believes that Russia is going to win the war, which is kind of a no-duh. Yeah. B, that they don't believe that. I mean, for one, you gave him 50 days, which is just funny to me. And on top of the 50 days, as you point out, Taco Trump always concedes something. It basically always goes back on his word. And they make the exact same point. They were like, so are you really going to hit China with 100% tariffs when you're trying to work out a deal with China? I mean, it's not like they have a deal. They have a framework currently. And so you're going to blow that up with China and India and Saudi Arabia and UAE, meaning you're going to go after all of these other countries, many of which are allies. India floats. But you're going to blow up the gas market.
They're trying to loop India into Quad to contain China, but at the same time, they're threatening India with more tariffs. And when Apple tried to move production of iPhone to India, their Tim Cook's plan is to have 26% of iPhone made in India so they can make iPhone for the U.S. market. And then Trump said, oh, no, I don't want you to do that. I didn't say I want you to produce iPhone in India. So now India foreign minister just went to China as well. So India and China, the relationship was kind of rocky, but now because of U.S. pressure, India is now having a soft reproach mom moment with China. And it's all thanks to Trump. Like I say, Trump is a great peacemaker of Asia. Give that man a Nobel Peace Prize already. I mean,
as I said, I am for it. I'm for it. But for not because it is great, but because it is not great. And I'm hoping that the rest of the world finally grows up and realize, okay, maybe this notion of giving America this much, because truth be told, I'm blaming everybody else for this. I'm not blaming America. I'm blaming everybody else. You guys have allowed us to behave this way. And now that Trump just is shamelessly honest about the behavior, meaning Obama was very suave. He was very debonair, but he wasn't any different. Like if he told Europe to jump, they'd say how.
Obama is like the black face of Wall Street. That's what he is. He's
that
the
plays
black face of Wall
basketball,
Street.
rooms out greens. Yeah. Whereas Trump is like, why do we have a pretext? Why am I even pretending? Jump and ask me how high. It's that, right? But it's kind of like if you work at a job, your boss has a velvet glove and is not just usually a dick to you, just to be a dick to you, right? Like meaning it's far easier for your boss to say, hey, could you go do this for me, please? As opposed to get over there and do this. They're saying the same thing, but it's very different in the way that it comes across, even though it's the same thing. Trump is the get over there and do this, which people bristle at. It's humiliating, right? Do you think there's a going back to a normality where daddy is back? It's somebody like a Joe Biden or an Obama or somebody else where they're like, oh, thank God daddy's back. And the world can now be led by America with a velvet glove as opposed to the ghost face. Or do you think, no, this is a no?
I think that's what the Europeans are hoping for. I mean, remember they gave Obama a Nobel Peace Prize before he even started the job of the president, just because he's not George W. Bush. And so I think they're waiting for a second Obama to return. But I don't know, man. I'm given the American political landscape today, I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna happen. But in any case, Trump still have 3 more years, right? I mean,
shockingly, yes.
Yeah. Shockingly. So I mean, like, I don't see him being removed from the presidency anytime soon. So I mean, like, we're stuck. We're stuck. I mean, unfortunately, I mean, when I say we, I mean, unfortunately, Americans are stuck with him.
Yes,
China will be fine. Yeah, China will be fine. China will keep moving forward. It's the U.S. The other average working class Americans are gonna stuck with his policies.
Why do you? I mean, and I asked this question before. I don't exactly remember the answer, but why now? Do you think he's hitting up Australia and Japan? I mean, I'm guessing he's assuming South Korea is already in the bag, but he could have asked that in a year. He could have asked it in 2 years. Hell, he didn't even need to be open about it. He could have just sent a thing like, "Hey, you with me, bro?" He didn't do that. It's so bizarre. He effectively forced Australia to deal with it in a political sense, which
you have to. Well, it was a leak. It was a leak. Basically, the conversation that this is one of the Trump's Pentagon people, Colby, his conversation with Australia and Japan, asking like, how are you going to respond in case of a war over Taiwan? I think the fact it was leaked by somebody, that means that there are oppositions to the U.S. policy, right? I mean, like, basically, this is the same thing they're asking Europe to do. They ask the EU to come up with 5%, spend 5% of their GDP on military spending, which really means spending 5% of their GDP purchasing U.S. weapons. And the same thing, this is what they want Taiwan, Australia, Japan, South Korea to do as well, to arm up and to be ready to sacrifice yourself for the
Just in
greatness of America. and but right now, I mean, that's not. I mean, I don't. See, nobody have that in their cards, right? I mean, even in Taiwan, even the most hardcore Taiwan independence advocate, their plan is to Americans to die and bleed for them, for their independence. Their plan is not to have themselves to die and fight and die for America. You know, you see, there's a fundamental disconnect here. America's like, okay, Taiwan, you got to arm up, you got to spend more money on American weapon system, and you gotta mobilize to fight China on the beach, you know, and the Taiwanese like, no, we expect you to do that. We expect you to die
Right.
on our beach, and so I mean, this is why I don't think a hot war is likely in the immediate future, because if you look at what U.S. is actually doing right now, they're already pulling their carrier group back from the first island chain back to the second island chain, back to Guam, because they know if they deploy their aircraft carrier too far forward, they will be in the solidly in the missile range of the Chinese missile barrage, and so now they're talking about, okay, what are we going to do with those aircraft carrier groups who are become a liability if a war break out? Maybe how can we use them if we can forward deploy them? You know, the whole point of aircraft carrier is for power projection, right? But it's really nowadays really for power projection against weak countries without air force, without air defense. Yeah, but even that they're not doing very well. We saw that in Yemen, right? Yemen, they lost 3 F-18s against a country with no air force and no air defense. And if in fact during the latest 12-day conflict between Iran and Israel, U.S. deployed carrier group to Middle East, and they said they was sending the third one on the way. So effectively, there are no U.S. aircraft carrier battle groups in the water surrounding China right now, and so if you look at what they do, it's actually a strategic retreat. They're already ceding, you know, the area around China, around Taiwan, around South China Sea to the Chinese Navy.
But they have to know that China has the capability, like, to put it in perspective. Iran told the United States exactly what they were going to hit. We're going to hit, what is it called? Basically the base in Qatar. We're going to hit that base. Told them flat out, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're targeting. The United States fired all of the air defense into the sky, and Iran still hit their target. Like, and you think about that, you think to yourself, okay, if Iran was able to do that and hit their target with the US knowing exactly where they were firing, what does it look like with China hitting Taiwan or hitting any aircraft carrier that's near China? It seems so farcical. It seems so ludicrous. And even if you're talking about a nuclear war, okay, well, you're not going to win a nuclear war.
That's why they're pulling back. They know that, because I heard a Taiwanese journalist who recently interviewed by Stephen Su on Manifold podcast. Yeah. He said basically over every Taiwanese missile base, there will be a Chinese satellite passing over every 18 minutes.
Yes.
So and China right now, they're building a constellation of satellites to rival what Elon Musk have. You know, yeah, and they already have the Beidou system, which has more coverage than GPS, because China have more ground station in places like Africa and South America, and so, you know, the only way, so China developed a whole entire kill chain where their satellites can detect the movement of U.S. aircraft carrier group or the U.S. military bases, and they can fire their anti-ship ballistic missiles, and then they can correct course midway based on their new feed from their satellite intelligence. And U.S. knows this, and the only way to counter that is going to have, maybe we're talking about satellite warfare, destroying each other's satellite. But that will mean there will be so much space debris around the Earth that will potentially shut down the space travel for humans maybe forever.
And destroy any U.S. satellite that's in the area also. I mean, people
because
space
once you start destroying satellites, and there are a lot of satellites out there, that means there's going to be space debris everywhere, and that's going to make the human space travel almost impossible.
And by the way, just to be clear, it's not just floating debris; it's going around the Earth at ridiculous speeds. Like it is just like bullets of metal, just killing anything that is in the kill chain. Like you said, it will make it impossible for even U.S. satellites, or for that matter, space travel. Oh God, man, this seems so pointless. It just seems so pointless. It's like a pointless endeavor. It's like you are screwing around with Taiwan, and nobody was trying to get their hands on Taiwan. And because you're trying to get your hands on Taiwan now, we have to make sure that Taiwan doesn't go to you, because we don't want you to have a military base on Taiwan on our shore. It's so provocative, to put it mildly. I mean, how does China look at this? I mean, China, I see Russia's response in Ukraine, and I know these are different locations because Taiwan, this is a family thing. Taiwan is part of China. And so this is almost like you're bringing back something into the fold, or for that matter, protecting it from, let's say, foreign influence. But the U.S.'s military in Taiwan right now. When does China?
U.S. is doing insane amount of provocation right now.
Yes,
but China is acting in a very restrained manner to not to be baited into a war that U.S. won. Sun Tzu in his Art of War said very specifically, you don't want to fight on your enemy's schedule. You don't want to fight on your enemy's timing and on your enemy's chosen battle place. You want to choose the time and the place when you want to do battle. And the best way to win a war is to do it without battle. And China knows that very well. And China is very patient because China knows time is on its side. Every year, China is pumping out more warships, pumping out more missiles. And by 2030, the Chinese 6th generation stealth aircraft will be able to flying all the way up to Guam, where they will be met with no opposition because U.S. 6th generation aircraft to this day is still on the PowerPoint presentation phase. So China just need to wait. They just need to wait for Taiwan to fall back onto the lap of the motherland. So they are playing the long game. Chinese, if anything, are very patient people. They already waited 70 years. They can easily wait another 10, 20 years, no problem.
I know, but that ignores that the United States knows that. Like the 2027 timeframe, every accusation is a confession. It's very possible that's a confession, not an accusation. And part of the reason that I asked why are they asking Australia, Japan now, that's kind of weird. It's so random. It's so arbitrary. Is it possible?
There's also a reason China put on the export control on rare earth. And you're not gonna get those rare earths to make your missiles to hit China. I'm sorry. China is not gonna provide you the materials for you to make missiles to fight a war against China. That's just not gonna happen. And United States is not gonna be able to sort through that supply chain problem, at least within 10 years. But
it doesn't stop them from salami slicing Taiwan in the way that they
No, they'll keep on doing this. I mean, but think about it. Realistically, what's those 500 Marines going to do in Taiwan, right? If when the shit hits the fan, they will be stuck on the island if the Chinese Navy start a blockade. They will just be sitting ducks. They don't make any material. I mean, their only goal, if you think about it, is to act as some kind of tripwire. So for Washington can claim, our troops are in danger. We have to go save our troops, right? I mean, that's the goal of the U.S. Presence in South Korea as well. Everyone know they are to serve purpose of tripwire. If there somehow war breaks out, they're in danger. U.S. now can justify to put him, to calm down really hard, quote unquote, for saving Private Ryan, right? I mean.
Is there anything in Chinese history that equals or matches this? I mean, there's like 5,000 years of history, so I don't have an expectation that you know all 5,000 years of. If you do, you're extraordinarily impressive man. So maybe you do.
Actually, there's a period of Chinese history called the Warring States period. This is about from 2,500 to 2,000 to 2,200 years ago. There's a period of 300 years of very intensive warfare among different Chinese states, and this is a time when the Art of War was written, and so China is used to having intense interstate competition, and that's kind of closely mirror what happens today. China have plenty of strategic inheritance, if you will. They can draw from their own history on how to deal with people like United States, like an unreasonable, crazed hegemon bending on world domination.
How did it? I mean, what was his response? Look, from my point of view, sitting around, for me is difficult to do. And I will tell you, when I played chess in tournaments, and you have like this kind of 40 minutes, 40 moves in 2 hours.
Jamar, that's American. That's very American, because American response is always, we gotta do something. We gotta do something. No, right. You don't. You don't always need to do something. Sometimes patience is virtue. You can wait out your opponent, make him getting impatient. Then maybe
it's like, oh, he's frozen.
Okay, my internet is slowing down.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. It's like, which is very American. It's like something needs to be done right now. You got to do something right now. Fair enough. I mean, by the way, the Russians, they also invaded Ukraine. Like, they also took the perspective of something needs to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's different. I mean, Russia, they have a very different strategic tradition, right? I mean, China, and I can understand Russia's position as well, because for them, ever since they signed the Minsk Agreement 1 and Minsk Agreement 2, things have been getting worse for them, because NATO was supplying more weapons. They were building up Ukraine military to be even more capable than before. If the Russia let that situation drag on longer, the worse the strategic balance will be for Russia when they finally do decide to do something. But across the Taiwan Strait, that's completely different, because right now it's China that's gaining the upper hand as times goes on. China is building more ships. They have 232 times the naval build capacity than United States. That's admitted by Pentagon, right? And they are doing that. They're making missile destroyers like dumplings right now in the Chinese shipyard. And Chinese Navy is already the world's largest navy by numbers of vessels, but U.S. is still largest by pure tonnage. But that is going to change in a few years. I would say in next 4 years, Chinese Navy might even be bigger than U.S. Navy, even in terms of cash, because a lot of U.S. aircraft carrier, let's not forget, is due to retire. Like the Roosevelt, like they're the one they sent to Persian Gulf, like these. So unless U.S. try to keep around those World War II era aircraft carrier to fight World War III, we'll see. Maybe that will happen.
Do you think we're going to end up in a third World War? I mean, is China's plan, if we can develop sufficient deterrence through tonnage, through military might, the nuclear weapons, etc., then we can avoid a third World War, because the United States is not stupid enough to challenge us at that point?
That's why China is building its military force right now, and they're not just building conventional force. They're also expanding their nuclear arsenal. Well, according to Pentagon reports, China will likely increase its nuclear warheads to 1,500 in 2030. Like that's enough. That's enough to glass United States from sea to shining sea. I think that's pretty strong deterrent.
Do you think this is going to end up in a nuclear war? I'm curious. Because any attack on
I hope
Taiwan,
not.
like any fight over
Yeah.
Taiwan is a nuclear war. Because
Look,
there's no way they
if
can
if
win.
a war do break out, it's very hard for me to see how it will not escalate to nuclear, because
Nuclear war.
one reason is because U.S. is now it's being outgunned in conventional weapons. They cannot defeat China in conventional warfare right now. This is why there's a lot of studies being floating around about deploying tactical nukes against China if a war, because their idea is, okay, maybe tactical nukes is small enough not to cross the nuclear threshold to invite a nuclear response like a city buster. But that's a very slippery slope. Like once you go nuclear, once you open that Pandora's box, that means China also can use tactical nukes.
Yes.
If you use tactical nukes on a Chinese naval port, what if China use a tactical nuke on San Diego? What then? I mean, I don't see a path of de-escalation from a nuclear war. It's only escalatory. So if a war break out, it's very likely will end up in nuclear war. But I don't think the prospect for war is imminent. That's still my judgment. I don't think that's gonna likely in the next 5 years.
From your mouth to God's ears.
Beyond 5 years, beyond 5 years, who knows? Nobody can predict what happens beyond 5 years. But I think within 5 years we'll be safe.
One last point. What is the relationship from your point of view between Iran and China?
Well,
I know China considers it a vested interest,
right.
But how close is that vested interest?
I mean, Iran is a friendly country toward China, right? But if you look at actual military cooperations, it's actually the type of cooperation between Iran and China is actually less close than, say, that between China and Pakistan, right? Because Pakistan, they purchased like 80% of the Chinese military hardware. The Pakistan Air Force trains with the Chinese PLA Air Force regularly every few years. And that did make a big difference in their capability. So Iran is not quite there yet, but I see a positive move in the right direction. If this weapon purchase, as reported, goes through, like I say, those weapon purchases are not just simply exchange money for hardware. There are relationship building exercise over the long term. This is a start of a decade-long defense cooperation. So it's moving in that direction. It's not quite there yet, but I think in the coming years they will likely grow even closer.
I hope so. I mean, because China does understand that Iran is a pillar to its own security, correct? I mean, it seems like it understands it.
Of course.
Okay, good. I'm that sounds like a stupid question, but for the longest time, Iran wasn't buying anything from China. They didn't want Russia's help or weapons.
Well, I mean, no. People have to remember, there was an international arms embargo against Iran that wasn't lifted until October 2020. So Iran essentially only had like 5 years or 4 years, only had 4 years to do this arm purchases, and they did make some deals with Russia for air defense and jet fighter. But again, it takes time to. It's not like these are not like BB guns, right? These are not BB guns. You can't just use it right away. You have to train your pilots. You have to train your ground crew. You have to train your people who can handle those new radar systems. So that takes time. And so the question now is really, would the Israel and United States give Iran the time to arm up? Because you would take Iran at least a couple years to rebuild their air defense system, and you will take them longer, maybe 4 to 5 years to build an effective air force. So The question is whether Israel can wait that long to break a ceasefire, right?
No, they cannot. They cannot. Yeah, we'll see. And yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I know people are talking about the missiles or the airplanes, but that stuff is not overnight. That stuff is like a decade to get a proper trained Air Force that's capable and everything else. So, Carl, man, as I point out, you are fantastic. Your knowledge of Chinese history is always amazing to me. Again, we have 5,000 years to work with. That is a hell of a lot to kind of keep in mind.
And I managed to put my son to sleep.
While doing the show, again, Mr. Fantastic. It's like I could do a show and rock my baby to bed. That is perfect. That's good. Carl Jha, does a 4-year-old help with the 1-year-old?
Kind of, sort of. Not he probably need to be a little bit older, but he at least kind of watch out for his little brother.
Because my older dog,
he's not old enough to independently babysit the baby yet.
Yeah, my older dog used to help take care of the other dog because the puppy idolized the older dog. The older dog didn't care. It just was like, get away from me. But he used to pay attention to him and just do what he did. And so like when he has to go out, it's like he'll go right out. When he has to do something else, he'll do this. And so he effectively helped train the younger dog. It was just funny. Carl Jha. Carl Jha is the host of Silk and Steel podcasts focused on China's surrounding areas or the surrounding regions, history, culture, and politics. You can follow Carl on Twitter at Carl Jha, and it's ZHA. You can follow his podcast on Steel Silk, the letter N. And you can subscribe and support him on patreon.com/silk and steel. Carl, thank you, man. I appreciate this.
Thank you. Anytime.
Absolutely. You be safe. All right. And Carl was able to put a baby to bed at the exact same time of doing the show. I got to be honest. I can't do that. I don't have that much